and an educated society is a more prosperous society. You have less crime, less poverty, better health care. So let's talk about that. The largest share of state spending is for education. Now, Mr. Wagner, I'm going to put you on the defensive for a few moments. In 2015, you said the state spends enough on public schools. You can lay off 10% of the teachers and they won't be missed. Then you took a reporter on a helicopter flight over York County to show how well some of the schools were doing. They had pools, they had tennis courts, modern buildings. Then you criticized Governor Wolf, saying he wanted to raise taxes so he could put $1 billion more into public education. You said we don't need it. The problem is mismanagement of school funds by the Wolf government. Then you said the problem was that most of the funding was being used for pensions and not making its way into the classrooms. Then you revealed your education plan, and that called for an injection of $1 billion into education without raising taxes. Now, it seems to me that you have done a full 180. You started by saying they don't need any extra money, and now I'm going to put $1 billion into education. You want to explain?
Here's a fact. Yes. Here's a fact. The governor did not put any money in education in the first 3 years of his administration because he didn't sign a budget. The legislature did that. Only this year did the governor put money in education. If you don't sign a budget, the money's not going there. But here's a fact. Approximately $2 billion went into the education system in the last 4 years. The Philadelphia Inquirer did a story probably in the last month that $1.3 billion of that $2 went to pensions. We have a pension crisis. We could have solved that pension crisis. First year in office, the House and Senate sent a comprehensive pension bill to the governor, and he vetoed it because the government employee unions didn't want the change.
But hasn't he made some pension reforms which you have voted against?
Listen, at the end of the day, and I don't want to offend my colleagues, it doesn't do anything. It's just, what are we talking, like 20 million or whatever? Ask people in the financial world. It didn't do any heavy lifting. We need to go into a 401k program for new hires after a specific date. We have a $70 billion pension crisis.
But
we did that.
You can't get rid of that unfunded pension overnight. It's going to take time.
Oh, this is a massive problem. And listen, at the end of the day, but meanwhile in 2016, in one of our pension funds, we accepted a return of 1.29%. when the benchmark goal was 7.5%. And we overpaid money managers, according to the treasurer, $5.5 billion over the last 10 years. See, nobody wants to do any heavy lifting. And that's what we need to start doing.
There's a lot of
this governor is not willing to do that.
A lot of protesting here. Actually, there is a bipartisan effort to do something about management fees. I'm not sure you've been very supportive of that. We actually had a pension reform bill that both the Wall Street Journal editorial page and the Washington Post editorial page thought was really good. We do have an unfunded pension liability issue, and we've got to do something about that. But we are here in Pennsylvania doing something that most states are not, and that is addressing the pension issue in a bipartisan way.
Well, it's been my experience that almost every state in America has an unfunded pension liability problem. But let's talk about education.
Well, we just keep playing the violin for the next 10 years.
But it's an obligation.
We need to do something now.
No, but it's an obligation, and you have to recognize that, and you have to satisfy that obligation.
Alex, I do recognize that, and we have to solve this problem. Listen, I had school teachers come to my office when I was in the Senate. Retired school teachers, please don't take our pensions away. The government sector unions, corrections officers, school teachers are all telling their members, Wagner gets elected, he's going to take your pensions away. That's not true. I'm just the cleanup guy. But I can tell you we can do better to accept 1.29%. Governor Wolf, and you didn't do anything about it. You were in office in 2000.
All right, let's talk about your education plan, since that's what we were